Hello, welcome to yet another session of Math and this podcast series. And here we have a special guest today for today's podcast. Someone we all admire, someone all the AI startups look at, someone with all the AI enthusiasts look forward and look upwards to learn and use his intelligence, support, mentorship, guidance, and the journey that he has been through to imbibe all those learnings into their day-to-day practices while they are walking in the journey of AI and building AI startups and AI products. We have someone who has done his BTech from IIT and then went back to US to do his masters and then PhD, and then he has spent more than 2 decades time in the industry leading the AI data and these kind of initiatives in different big organizations, be it Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, or Geo. So today we have none other than Shailesh Kumar, who is the current Chief Data Scientist in the AI/ML CoE for Geo. So welcome, sir. Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for giving time.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And just to give a different flip to this discussion and conversation, we have yet another exciting entrepreneur with us, and that is Mr. Kiran, whose new startup is incubated with math. He has been a serial entrepreneur, has worked with big corporations like Google, built startups in the past, got successful exit, and now again he got the excitement and the enthusiasm to build yet another startup, and his startup's name is Rava.ai, and he has joined us in this conversation to add more insights from the startup side, like what startup entrepreneurs are thinking when they're building AI startups and what their expectations is from companies like Geo, from people like Salish, and from incubators like us. So I hope this conversation is going to be exciting, enriching, and equally learning for all of us. I just want to ask Kiran to give a perspective and a brief introduction, like how is he feeling? Like we have Salish today, we have all three people from the incubator, someone from the industry, and Kiran is someone who is representing the startup fraternity today. So Kiran, your thoughts?
Thank you. Thanks, Rahul. Super excited to be here. And luckily, two of my favorite people at this phase of my journey as a serial entrepreneur. So, super excited to talk to Shailesh. I knew Shailesh from a previous world in Google. The value that he's going to provide is extremely high. I'm super excited. And I'm super excited also to be incubated from you guys. The kind of contribution that you guys are giving us is really, really appreciated. And I want to acknowledge representing all the startups in this floor. Thank you. Let's start. I want to learn more. I want to understand more on what's happening through Shailesh's topic.
So Sailesh, if we have to just ask like little bit about yourself, just to start, like who Sailesh Kumar is. Like we know, like he's the man probably quite synonymous with India's AI journey today, and everybody who is building around AI. But if we have to take a couple of years step back, like how was your journey, and if you can give us some, snapshot of like how this journey evolved and how your journey. I know you have done your masters and PhD related to AI and data sciences, but how exactly it happened that you came into this field, you chose it as your profession, and how was this journey? So if you can just give a brief overview of like last 10, 20, 30 years of your career.
So, it's very interesting. Around 1995-96, when I was in my third year of BTech, we were only doing computer science, which is core computer science, right? Compilers, networking,
Right.
programming, all of that. And then, I did a internship at IIT Kanpur, which was around how to fit shapes into a smallest possible rectangle. And there I learned a technique called genetic algorithms. And that was very different. Computer science thinking was very different. And this kind of optimization using genetic algorithm inspired by nature's evolution was very different kind of thinking. And that really hooked me onto this field. I realized that this is something very different, very special. This is beyond programming. Electives, I did my BTech project in AI. And then when I went to UT Austin, I worked on, one type of AI called reinforcement learning, then another type of AI called statistical pattern recognition. So I kind of explored both types of AI, the one that belongs to the computer science domain and the one that belongs to the statistics and pattern recognition domain. And, it was a very wonderful thing. And I realized that this is so special that in a way the brain is asking how the brain works.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is what really is very recursively profound about AI. That we are asking how we work, right? That is like when we are asking how nature works, how fire works, how electricity works, how magnetism works, we are asking about something else. But here we are asking about ourselves. And that is very important to me, that when we reach that level of intelligence, right, then amazing things happen. And now you can start to see where we are. After my PhD, I thought I knew everything because that's what a PhD does to you. And then I, got my first job. It was in Fair Isaac, which is a credit modeling company. And
Right.
there we wanted to build two things. One is credit card fraud detection models, which is the first real-time AI system because you have to do decisions in real time pre-cloud. This is a pre-cloud era. So it was an amazing feat of engineering and AI deployment. And we worked on credit models, FICO score. In India, we call it CIBIL score. There I learned my first lesson, which is domain knowledge is as important as data science knowledge. Because I didn't know anything about finance domain, about credit domain, how to formulate that problem as an AI problem, what data to look at, how to measure the models. So there I learned my first real world data science experience after the PhD. PhD is a very simulated environment, right? And
Right.
you solve some abstract problems. But in the real world, you have to take care of many, many things. So there I learned how to build great models, how to look at boundary conditions, how to deploy them at scale, how to update them with feedback loop. So that was my training in the first 8 years on multiple things in that company. Then we moved to India and I joined Yahoo Labs. And Yahoo was the company which gave me the second big learning in AI, which is how to do big data thinking, right? So we were building, image based models, image search models at Yahoo. And there I learned how to think about billions of data points at a
And this was
time,
in
how
early
to create
2000 or
features,
sometime.
right?
Okay.
Early 2000. And there I learned all that, right? How to do big data thinking and not just modeling thinking. So the role of big data, map reduce, all of that became very important because you have to process so much data to create features and then build models. So then I learned that art. Yahoo and then Google, again, same thing, how to build great products, how to invent new things. For example, right, the first, Allo was the first chatbot that Google was trying to
Oh,
build. So
yes,
we
I
were part
remember.
of that team. How to do YouTube recommendation at a large scale, how to build auto suggestions in Gmail, and how to do, the early versions of TensorFlow that we see today. We were building that from scratch. So it was a very fun thing about how to do first principle thinking, build newer frameworks, engineer them well. So
Right.
there I learned the art of engineering AI systems, right? For scale, for speed, for latency, and APIs have to be general enough that many use cases can come out of that. After Google, everybody gets a startup kida, right? And then I
Correct.
got my own kida. I was very passionate about education, and you look around, and education is not benefiting from AI so far as much as Netflix and Amazon and Book My Show are benefiting, right? So I thought, the right use cases of AI have to be beyond just search engines and ads and all of that. So I got into the social impact of AI, and I did my first edtech startup, which would, use AI to solve any math problem and then teach kids how to solve a math problem alternately, or give them step level feedback and all of that. So that was very nice. I learned how to do symbolic reasoning to solve any kind of math problem. And one of my aha moments there was we coded up, the rules for how to do calculus. We coded up rules for how to do algebra and, trigonometry. And then we gave it a problem that was a mix of both. So you had to do an integration of a trigonometric function or something.
Right.
So this is where
And
your
it solved
teaching
it,
machine thing
teaching
came, right?
machine,
Yeah.
right? And it just solved it. So that is when the next moment of aha came, that AI can actually do things far beyond your programming. You can build building blocks, and what AI can do is combine them and in ways that surprises you, right? And that's when something is beyond programming, right?
Right.
That is intelligence. It surprises you. So if it doesn't surprise you, it's not AI anymore. Is my new definition. So that was that, and then I got an opportunity to work with. So in the startup, I learned how to identify the core problem in any domain, how to formulate that as a AI problem, and then how to solve it, build a product around it. AI does not live in isolation. And then how to do a market fit and figure out who's going to benefit, what are the other features to add. So this whole startup journey that happened, I loved that for 2 years. And then I said, okay, I've done this, I've done that, what is the next thing? Then I got a call from Ola, and Ola was looking for senior people to help them improve their operations. And that's where I learned another thing, which is how to do what we call real-time decision making. So one is big data thinking, solving a problem for society. This is big data thinking, or not big data, real-time thinking. So how do we build models that can, make an allocation decision within a few seconds,
Right.
or help, and how do you think about complex systems? Ola is a very complex real-time system. Lots of decisions are happening all the time, and decisions are affecting each other. Pricing decision here can affect supply of cabs there. So it's not an easy problem. So that is where my learning curve was the steepest. I learned so much about, A/B testing cannot be done for each model independently, because each model depends on the other model, right? So you cannot do that. So I think it was an amazing learning experience. We created some amazing frameworks there and improved the Ola operations. And now I'm at Geo. I look at all the Reliance verticals. So how to AIfy Reliance verticals, like our retail vertical, telecom vertical, refineries vertical, entertainment vertical, sports vertical, Mumbai Indians, and we are also doing some advanced research in quantum computing, or obviously Gen AI and all of that. So here I am learning something else, which is how to do system thinking in AI. So system thinking is a new skill that I am picking up, which is what are the common themes of AI across verticals, right? Event-based architectures, how to create feature stores. There are these common themes in AI, how to build workflows, and I'm going to give a whole talk on that. So a systematic way to create an AI journey for an enterprise. That idea is now started to come about, and we are now creating frameworks so that we are not thinking of AI as an opportunistic way to try this here and try that there. It's not like doing a bunch of POCs and hoping something big will come out. Like digitization 1.0 is a systematic journey for software transformation, automation transformation. I think AI is also a very systematic journey. Right? What are your metrics? What are your decisions? What are your features? What are your models? What are your input data? When do you decide to learn and train the new models? Where do they fit in the workflow? All of that. So there is a systematic process we have now evolved, and now we are applying that to Reliance verticals. And also my second charter at Reliance is to AIfy India in some sense, right? Because we are a mini India. We do many, many verticals. 500 million people are on Reliance platform. So we learn this, all the skills I learned in the past, right? Big data thinking, real-time decisions, and now system thinking in AI. All these three skills are helping me try to become a better data scientist every day. We have a team of hundreds of data scientists and software engineers and all of that, who work with all the businesses and do a lot of good stuff.
Wow.
Right.
So, Shailesh, I want to shift focus on a startup from a startup's point of view. So, help us understand what is happening, what has happened, and what is happening now in the Gen AI kind of a thing for a non-AI startup. See, everybody has to use Gen AI as a thing now, but can you simplify it for people? Like, what is it? What is happening? And how should we be using it in startups, and how should we not be using it?
I think there are 3, 4 types of startups I would categorize. One is startups who are doing fundamental technology development, right? OpenAI is an example.
Right.
Okay.
Right? Google, who invented the first search engine, is an example, right? Samsung or Ericsson, who built the first telecom network. So there is one set of startups who are doing technology development for the first time.
Okay.
Like AWS, for the first time making cloud a commercial product. First time when you do something technologically is one kind of startups.
So
They're like the best startups, if you will, because they really change the game. They're not doing incremental stuff, right? They're doing path-breaking stuff, and bringing the world to the next level, right? So that is one level of startups. The second is who are using these technologies to build product and services that everybody else needs, right? So Ola is a great example of that kind of a startup which says, hey, I'm going to address a certain need and I'm going to use, devices, cloud, IoT, this and that, and app, and put it all together to create a solution. So that's a solution kind of startups. And I think we need both. We need producers of technology startups and we need consumers of technology startups. Now, coming to Gen AI, one of the things, I've been talking to many people, the chief data scientist of World Economic Forum, she was saying that she's looking at startups across the world. And she's saying that a lot of startups are using shallow wrappers on top of OpenAI and, Gen AI stuff. And, we all agreed that that is not sustainable. That is not a good startup. It's like an opportunistic thing. It may fly for a few months and then obviously OpenAI will take over and do it. So I think startups should introspect deeply about how what they are doing is different than what kind of a pain point they are addressing, and really spend a lot of time understanding the pain point, like what you are trying to do to help startups to understand the market fit. Is this the right product to build? Because the first idea may not be the right idea.
Absolutely.
And a lot of startups have pivoted all the time, right? I learned that Qualcomm, which is in San Diego, started off as a startup who already only wanted to do, send a printer command from computer without a wire.
Right.
That is the original idea of Qualcomm.
See where they
And they used that and pivoted into building chips for the cell phone industry. You see how startups can pivot.
Absolutely.
So the first lesson I learned is be very open-minded about what you think you want to do as your first idea, and what you land up doing when you are a unicorn may be different.
Right.
And you evolve quite a bit, you learn on the way. And sometimes you are ahead of time, sometimes you are behind the time, and you need guidance to help you figure out the right product fit, right? So I'll give an example of my own edtech startup. So I was trying to solve an advanced AI problem. But edtech did not need that at that time.
Correct. It was not
Right?
ready, yes.
Maybe now it does, right?
Yeah.
To solve the complex problems in math, we need reasoning. But for edtech, all I needed was how to do curriculum personalization, content personalization, basic stuff. And once you can solve the core problem, then you can do advanced problems. But I was doing a different problem because I liked it, not because what the market needed it.
Right.
And that is a struggle that every founder should think
startup
about.
has. Or every technocrat has
Because
this.
I love something doesn't mean that's what the
That's
world
what market needs.
at that time. So maybe they need it later, maybe all that.
Right,
So I think this is very important, and early failures are important. I know that a startup spent 2 years only building the UI UX and no backend just to get feedback from the market and saying, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Right? Oh, and then the feedback is very easy to give when you are doing UI stuff. And there need not be any backend team. They did not hire a single backend person, but they had an amazing UX team who would go listen to the customer, figure out what they are asking, right? Why are they confused? Usability study, as if the product existed. And then they came up with a perfect
And then they
combination of features as an MVP and then built a backend team. So there are strategies like this which can help us spend less money to explore and refine the idea, and then spend more money to build this.
Right,
And how do you do early exploration at a cheap and then go full throttle on once you figured this out?
So
Just to give a context, like I can relate to that. Like when I was a part of initial Apollo 24/7 team, and we launched it during COVID, and I was consulting with them, and we spent good amount of time just to build the UI UX. The development team and everyone came much later.
Correct.
So the maximum time, effort, money, everything that we spent was on the UI UX just to make sure that this product actually flies.
Yeah.
And then the development team came very late. Within 1.5 months, 2 months time, they were able to do the backend stuffs and those
It's very
things.
easy after that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Once you have clarity on the screens and the backend APIs, it's easy to build. Now the good thing is with Gen AI, you can do this experimentation much
Much
faster.
faster.
much faster.
Right? And that is, we should leverage that. So whatever you were doing in 1-2 years, now you do it in 1 month.
Compressed.
Create 1,000 different variations very quickly, and then start to get feedback on that. Right?
Yeah, and to add to this thing, like Kiran, if I have to come back to you, like if we can quickly understand like what you are doing.
Oh, okay.
you are building an AI startup, right? You have been a successful entrepreneur. Although entrepreneurship is something we always keep learning, there is nothing like
Yeah,
someone has
true,
learned
true.
even after third startup. Probably
Sure.
people continue to learn. But if we can quickly get a feel of like what Kiran is doing today and
Absolutely.
how you are using AI
Yeah.
in your current startup.
Startup.
So just a quick understanding of the fact.
Happy to. So, as Shailesh said, right, when you work in Google kind of a company, you get exposed to too many smart people and smart technology. You get that bug that, hey, now we need to jump.
Jump.
So he and we jumped at the same time. So he also had an edtech, I also had it. That's how we met also.
Right.
So our first startup was an edtech startup. So, but what we did well, extremely well in the edtech startup is we built a great product because, of course, when you're working for a company like Google, building a product is not the difficult part. But it was a founder-led sale. But selling was the main challenge, and we couldn't scale as much as we should, and it didn't make sense, and I didn't like the growth trajectory that is happening. So kind of exited. Now when I was literally introspecting on like, hey, I even though I have good credentials, even though I was able to build, why did I not was not successful? Because I couldn't sell. Now imagine 90% of other startups who don't even have this kind of an experience, who are dreaming to make something, they also will face the same marketing problem. So the selling as a problem. So we're all good at building products, but we're not good at selling products. So that is my tagline. When for Rava, my seed is like, hey, let the 75% of startup founders are engineers,
Techies, right?
techies and engineers. So they know, by definition, they know what to build and how to build. But and the seventh month, on an average, seventh month is when they even start thinking of a marketing initiative. Until that point, they sit inside and then build the product.
They're still aggressive. Some people don't even think
Don't even
about
think in the
first 2 years
right?
or 1 year. Right?
So one of the reasons why products fail, companies fail, is because there's no market research that need. Market research is a day zero activity. As what Shailesh was saying, right? It's a day zero. You need to start thinking from day zero. So now people are busy building. So what Rava's main core mission is, we want to be that virtual chief marketing officer for a builder who is building while you are building the product. Thanks to GenAI, now AI can do more things than what it was able to do before. So we will be your first marketing manager. We will be your first digital marketer. We will be your first content writer. So we
Right.
help in planning your marketing strategy. We help in executing the content, creating the content. We help you in automating that content creation, and we help you in analyzing your performance.
And I can clearly get a sense how you are using the AI in
Oh,
all these things.
yes.
Yeah.
AI is the foundational layer. See, that is
Correct.
the beauty of it.
Right.
GenAI has literally flipped until now. When AI was there, it was all only few people who can understand, like Shailesh and Shailesh's team. We had to hire people like Shailesh at a junior level as a data scientist or ML scientist to do the work. Right? Now, thanks to GenAI, it's reverse. Now, AI can listen to your language and then talk and then get the things done. Foundationally, we're using that, and we want to be, as I said, right? So I was talking to Shailesh before this thing. Hey, he was asking, okay, what's your moonshot? Moonshot is a Google language. Moonshot is like, what's the adoption? So there is a self-driving car. We want to Rava should be the self-marketing company. If there is a company, you just get to Rava. Rava should be able to do the marketing end to end. You just focus on building the product. We help you get the traffic to you. We help you get the leads to you. So
Right.
that's where we want to go.
Fantastic. I think that is extremely exciting what you are building, Kiran. And with that, just one last question on the startup, AI startup fraternity. If I have to ask it to you, to Salish, like, if very briefly, if you can highlight top 3 or 5 pointers, or trends that you're seeing among the AI startups today in India or globally. So, what are the top 5 trends that you're seeing? Those trends, like the way I'm asking, or just want your thoughts on, is that the technologies that people are majorly focusing, or the domain, right? We see like there is a tremendously growing trend of building startups around health tech and automobile and those areas where AI is playing a major role. But and also in terms of like technology, we are seeing like there are a lot of people now jumping into quantum and those areas, and that there are a lot of people like going after LLMs. But then again, obviously, there are success stories are debatable. But from your perspective, globally and from India perspective, top
Yeah,
5 AI trends, if I have to ask
trends,
you.
right? So the first trend I think is, see, the starting point of all AI is data, and the starting point of data is sensors. So first category of startups that I would call, are the pioneers are the sensor startups. So for example, today if you have to check your sugar, you need to poke yourself. But if I had a Apple Watch or a watch that can do it without invasive technology, that would be much better, right? So I am seeing a lot of startups now coming in the sensor world, especially in
Wonderful.
healthcare.
Yeah, right.
So non-invasive sensors, right? All you have to do is cough into a microphone and it will tell you whether you have TB or asthma or whatever.
Right.
Right? You don't have to
Right.
do a test. Can you make sensor technology part of your cell phone in such a way, like imagine taking a picture of your skin and telling
It
what the
captures the
problem
Yeah,
is,
signals.
yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
makes sense.
sensor thinking and sensor startups, right? Israel is very good at that.
Yes.
COVID sensor is a sensor, if you will, all the tests that we do. But how can we make sensing very, very pervasive? That's very important. All domains, not
Right.
just healthcare, right? So soil IoT sensors and all of that, right? Satellite sensors. So sensor
Even in
startups is one
automobile sector,
category.
you have a lot of
Automobile
applications,
sensors, right?
right? Right.
Correct. So sensor is one great area. We're going to see a lot of startups in that. Second would be miniaturization of AI, right? So we have large models now. Anybody who can create an alternative, give the same accuracy and quality with a much smaller model.
SLMs. Yeah.
SLMs, right? Or tiny ML and all that, and edge deployment and all that, right?
Right.
Plus those services. So, build a great model, make it small, deploy it on all the watches, on the cell tower, all the cars, whatever you want to do, right? So this ML ops plus miniaturization world, right, is going to really flourish because big companies don't care about that part, but IoT companies, embedded systems, those care about all that. So that will be another set of startups. The third is the compute startups. Like you said, quantum is just yet another kind of compute. Another one that is happening is biological computing, right? Or
Correct.
all kinds of things, genetic based computing or all that, right? So there's a whole compute kind of startups that are coming. Nvidia is a great example. See how it pivoted where it is now. Compute startups, inspired by Nvidia and others, will do a wonderful things, right? So I know in India also there are some startups focused on better quality of storage, better networking, better, that whole compute layer is very important. Then another one is data startups, right? Data organization, data privacy, data access, data democratization, data standardization. I don't think that is still a solved problem. We're still in an old world of data created for a microservices architecture where the same customer data is partitioned. Some columns are here, some columns are here for microservices reasons. But data science does not need that. It needs all of the columns together. So this startups that can help organize the company's data better, clean the data better, make it, encrypted end to end, right? All that, right? And secure the data, all that. That'll be another big area. So
Yeah.
data startups like
Fourth.
Snowflakes
Yeah.
and many others. Then another is the cyber security. As we are
Yes.
dependent more and more on data, I think, like we need a bank that can safeguard my money. Otherwise, I
Safeguard
will
my
not
data
trust that
also.
bank,
Yeah.
right? Similarly, I need a data vault that can safeguard my thing, right? A cyber security system that can safeguard my data. And every month, right now, we are hearing some leak by somebody, right? And all that, right? So I think, banks are losing credit card information. I don't know, right? Like, imagine if Aadhaar system loses a lot of private information, medical facilities may lose a lot of information and be misused. So I think if we have to become a data civilization, this layer of cybersecurity has to become very, very solid. The problem is the same open source code that you are using to prevent data leak, somebody else is using to cause data leak.
Absolutely.
So
And
there,
that's
Now,
why
this
the
is a double-edged
responsible
sword,
AI,
right? AI against
yeah,
AI for good use case and the opposite
and all
of
the
that,
responsible AI and everything
and all
comes
that
here,
comes
right?
there, right?
Right.
Responsible AI is another thing. So security is one. Then responsible AI, I think as we go along, a lot of research is going on, early stages, how to build models with responsible AI notions while building, not after building. That's the new thing. So I'm helping some startups to think about responsible first AI. right? Not like, hey, I built a model, test for responsibility afterwards, and then figure out how to remove some variables or whatever, right? So how do you do, like interpretable first AI, responsible first AI is another big area that is going to come about, right? So I think in the AI world, there are a lot of these. And finally, the startups that are going to solve social problems, like healthcare, education, agriculture. This is the next 20 years of AI, right? And I think if we can solve a system where every farmer gets a personalized, advisory every day, what to do. Every teacher gets to know what to teach in which section today. Every student gets to know what they should learn today. Every doctor knows how to treat a patient without making any error of diagnosis. I think we need to start thinking of AI in the social context a lot more. It looks like there is no money there, but there is a lot of value. And I think the real transformation in the next 20 years that we'll see is in the social sector. How to build credit models for SMEs differently than for B2C customers. So there's a lot of ideas that people can work on if they are passionate about that, right? What can you do with drones? What can you do with satellite? There is so much technology available now that you can do amazing things. And one last idea, yesterday I met a very interesting startup, Agni Kund or something like that. So the guy is like a Elon Musk of India, and he wants to make, sending stuff to space easy. He's like an Uber. He wants to be like an Uber for space. And, so all telecom companies want to send satellites to space, right? People want to do space-based tourism. People want to do all kinds of things with space as a service. So if somebody could do that and make that cheap, so these bold ideas. I think boldness is the next big thing. So if we can create bold startups which solve really big moonshots, then I think we'll be up there.
Yeah, Shailesh. So now I want to shift gears to Bharat, India. Yeah. So there's a lot of passion and aggression, aggressively things are going on at a government level for startups and AI. And I'm very sure it's visibly visible that even Geo is very passionate about solving this kind of a problem. Help us understand what's happening in that world for in an Indian context, both at a startup and what is your vision on where this is going at a Bharat level?
The AI strategy paper for India came out, right? They really didn't focus on commercial use cases of AI. They really focused on social use cases. For India, the ethos is how do we solve, healthcare, agriculture, education, mobility, smart city, climate change. These are the areas of priority for the government, right? And obviously, because others are anyway going to happen, but who is going to take care of these, right? So, that was very encouraging. Before that, Mr. Ambani had talked about this a lot, about how to transform India also with AI, not just reliance with AI. And we were discussing these kind of things. And when the paper came out, we were both very happy that the government focus is also in this direction. So, I've thought about what are some of the things AI can do in the social sector. So let's take education, for example. So we live in a very 200-year-old education system, one size fits all. When AI strategy paper for India came out, the government has a very strong focus on social upliftment through AI, right? So how can our farmers benefit from it? How can our teachers and students benefit from it? How can our patients benefit from it? How will we create smarter cities, safer cities? How will we reduce pollution? How do we take care of climate change and all that? So I think the priority areas are very well defined. And, this is part of the Indian ethos, right? We want to uplift everyone and all that through whatever means. So technology and AI is one of them, right? And I see a lot of interest in startups also in these areas now. Social entrepreneurs are coming up. Some examples of that, right? What we are working on. So if you look at the education system, I think education is supposed to have the next big revolution now. We have been following a 200-year-old one-size-fits-all education system. Every child learns the same thing from the same teacher, same textbook at the same pace. But education is supposed to be one of the most private, personalized learning journey, right? So what we have conceived of is, three types of personalization. One is what we call curriculum personalization. So depending on what I know, what should I learn next should be different than what the other student knows and what should they learn next, right? So how do you say you are ready to learn this, you are not ready to learn this, so I'm going to teach you different things at your own pace. Second is we all learn differently from the kind of content we are watching. So if a teacher is giving an example first and then theory versus a teacher is teaching in a very abstract way, different students will resonate differently with the kind of content. So today if I take any topic and go to YouTube, there is 100,000 videos on it. Which is best for me? That is content personalization, right? The style of teaching. It's not about the content, the style of teaching. The third would be practice and homework. Today, every child gets the same homework. That's a very bad idea, right? So the idea is a child who is behind should get different homework, easier problems based on how he solved it individually and improve that. This is like adaptive practice, right? So there are personalizations that have to happen on education. Creating a very nice content like these Khan Academy and Baiju is not a AI startup in education, it's a content startup in education, right? We really need AI startups in education. That is different. And I don't see, I'm seeing bits and pieces of this happening, but, not like a fully AI system that can do this. But the potential of this is a lot. I've given TED Talks on this and all that. Second is farmers. How will farmers benefit from it? So today, if a farmer watches a Krishi Darshan program and goes about doing their work, most farmers find that irrelevant because it's not about my soil, my crop, my stage of crop. You're talking about something that is not relevant to everyone. Now, one of the powers of AI is it can do personalized decisions for you. So imagine a world where satellite data, soil IoT data, weather data, farm fencing, what you are growing, all that is combined together to auto-generate a suggestion for you in your language, giving you a video generated by AI in your language to tell you how to use this pesticide. Imagine every morning 6 a.m. every farmer gets a WhatsApp on what they need to do today. That will change, what they need to grow, should they water the plant, which fertilizer to use. Not only that, now imagine the fertilizer companies, the seed companies, the equipment companies are also part of this. Insurance companies, all of them, and they're all working together, not in silos, not optimizing their own objective functions. But really everybody is trying to solve only one problem, food crisis for the world and farmer income and all that. So I think AI can play these kind of roles, real-time decisions, personalized decisions, strategic decisions, and that's something they can do. Healthcare, a lot of people die today because their diseases are wrongly diagnosed, cancer is not diagnosed early enough. And I think there are a lot of such problems, in spite of all the doctors and everybody's good intention. And this is for good cities with good doctors. What about the
Imagine
rest of
the
Bharat?
grassroots level.
So
Yeah.
we need systems that can help diagnose automatically, right? As in, you take a picture or you cough or you just put in your symptoms, the AI can tell you what the problem is, connect you to the right doctor, specialist, ambulance, all of that. So I think healthcare has to become, we need an expert in every home via AI. We need to scale all the experts, a legal expert, a medical expert, a teaching expert,
A
right?
marketing expert.
A marketing
Expert,
expert, right?
yes.
And that is what is possible with AI, right? Exactly. So I think that is the big theme. And obviously, it needs a lot of people on the ground also, right? You cannot do everything digitally. So, Reliance Foundation has a lot of people on the ground. Many foundations have people on the ground. So how do we combine our operational scale on the ground with the intelligence and the data together is going to create a next revolution. Like we were not able to imagine ChatGPT 5 years ago, we are not able to imagine
The
today
leap
how AI will affect these systems. But we all have to work together to create that. And startups have a role to play, academics, government, big companies, we all have a role to play in all of that.
Yeah. Now, would love to learn more about upskilling and skill development. Again, specifically from an India's point of view, what are you seeing? Where is it going? And how can technology and AI help
Correct.
in taking it forward to make Bharat the real Bharat?
Right. So I think, like mathematics and English or language are horizontal skills, right? No matter what career you choose, you're going to need math, you're going to need English. Similarly, I believe AI is a horizontal skill. If you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or a designer or a trade businessman or whatever, engineer, anybody will eventually need to know how AI works It's like they need to know how Google Docs works or Gmail works. Everybody uses them. So the first thing we all have to understand that AI is a horizontal skill. It's not a specialty skill, first of all, right? It's a horizontal skill. If it is a horizontal skill, then why are we not teaching it in the schools first? It starts with the schools. So now the government has, in the new education policy, we have AI as a course, data science as a course. Both these are special courses. Obviously, the content has to keep improving, but now those courses have started coming in. China has been doing it for the last 10 years. So AI education has to start from schools. And, I think kids will intuitively understand AI very quickly, because AI is one of the easiest subjects. Because we are intelligent, we know what is intelligence. So we can translate that into our machines and systems also. That is one, right? The second is, today the skill set that I needed when I was doing my PhD was to be able to write k-means clustering code myself, write neural network code myself. Now you don't need it, right? So the skill set that you need today is very different than the skill set we needed 10 years ago. What is the skill set we need today? We have to understand. So today also, when I look at the curriculums, we are teaching old skills. How to use k-means clustering. No, that is not the skill we need. That is easy. ChatGPT can tell you. The real skill we need is when to use k-means clustering. So the real skill we need is the formulation. Given a business problem, how do you optimize Ola operations? How do you ensure customer churn is not happening? How you make your telecom networks better? How do you make sure your delivery is within 7 minutes in Blinkit? These are business problems. How do you translate these business problems into a machine learning AI architecture is the skill that we need to teach. That is the skill that is missing. So there are domain people who can articulate their metrics and decisions and business pain points very well. And there are data scientists who are bottom up, who know how to build models. But we need a layer of people in the middle who can connect the pain points to these architectures of AI. And that is what we need. So we call them system thinkers, solution thinkers, who can connect the dots, who need to know how the techniques work, their pros and cons, who also understand the domain. And they can say, look, to solve this problem, you need this classifier whose output is going to go to this optimizer, whose output is going to go to this rule engine. So they should be able to put that workflow together. That is the skill we need. It's like a designer skill, not a builder skill. Because design is what we need, and build is going to happen with ChatGPT.
Let's say you're part of a policy making commission. What are the two suggestions that you would give to the policymakers on education and on AI as a
Yes.
thing?
Two types of policy making bodies. I'm already part of some of that. So first is have a master plan. Don't do bottom up POCs here and there and say checkbox AI kar raha hai. It's not like that. You need to have a master plan. You need to know what is the big picture, what are all the workflows I need to solve in agriculture or healthcare or any domain. You need to have a top down view of that. That will not come because you talk to one expert here and one expert there. It will come when you talk to many, many people, because part of the system is in multiple people's head. So the idea is, how do you create a master plan for AI in each domain? Railways, defense, whatever, right? So we need a master plan. And then we need an execution team who can now start working on that master plan, right? The same thing we talked about earlier. Design first, design holistically, and then start implementing, right? So that is the first policy change. And the AI policy changes, I think we need to start teaching AI early on. We need to demystify it. We need to remove the FOMO on one side and say, if you don't do this, you are doomed.
Interesting. Yeah.
Or, and also need to demystify and say, this is too difficult, not everybody can do it.
Got it.
Right.
We need to make it simple and natural. And, today I was talking to some kids from 9th, 10th graders. They love this. They just love this because this is so natural and easy. But the way we teach AI sometimes is to make it too hard, and then we lose interest from people. So we need to be very careful how we teach it, right? Like the first machine learning course that Andrew Ng had, right? The Coursera course. In the second lecture, he did a lot of very gory derivations because he was targeting a certain audience. and the rest of us got very upset with that. Then he had to create a new course called AI for Business, right? So we need to create courses. Now at Geo Institute, we are creating courses specialized for AI for retail, not generic AI, which is too abstract, right? AI for agriculture, AI, and these courses should be taught in agriculture universities, in medical schools, in lawyer schools. So now AI should be taught differently to different domain people. We need to create those courses at school level and at the domain level.
Rahul, I have a couple of questions for you also, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, being a CEO for an incubator is not an easy job because now the AI too many AI startups that are bubbling up, and they don't know what they don't know, but there's some stuff. And I'm very sure you've been bombarded with a lot of requests on getting into math, but you have limited space. So how are you seeing what is it, if you can pattern match us and tell us what are the type of AI startups that are happening, what are they doing well, what are they not doing well that they should avoid? If they can't come to math, can you at least pass the
Sure.
observations and knowledge?
So, see, we are running math now for last 7-8 months, and although the time frame is less, but the kind of startups, the kind of interaction we had with the number of startups is pretty high. I will say that any incubator in the country might not have faced this kind of volume that we have encountered, and thanks to the AI wave and the acceptance and the craze that is going around. So today, as we speak, we have 80 plus startups on premises. We have close to 1,000 startups in our network,
1,000
which is
startups.
outside building or outside this campus. The normal trend that we are seeing is there are 10 to 20% of the startups who are really good, who are solving real business problems, and they are using AI sensibly. Remaining startups, what we are seeing, there is a major chunk of startups who just want to build something around AI, and they are still trying to figure out like what need to be done. And they are the good part is that they understand that.
I see.
Okay, they accept it that they are still figuring out. So there are a lot of startups we see who are trying to still build the startup, who are still going back and forth with their problem statement. They're rephrasing it, which is a normal practice, which we appreciate. We support them. But the third phase, which is the, I will say, the dangerous lot, is the startups who are force feeding AI. Force feeding AI in the sense like the problems they have identified that has nothing to do with the solution they have picked up, right? So it is just to impress the investor, just to impress certain customers.
Okay.
They are forcefully bringing certain solutions and trying to force feed that into a certain problem statement. Now, what is happening because of that? They are ending up burning a lot of investor money or their own money. They are putting a lot of effort, right? And end of the day, we are already started seeing them that either they are not getting accepted by the next phase of the investor or the funding round. They're not getting accepted by big multinationals when they're coming to give them pilot projects or something. So that's where the gap is happening. And then they are getting into the unwanted vicious cycle of startup, they don't have customer, they don't have funding, they don't know where they went wrong. But the mistake was basically at the fundamentals, at the base level, right? So as I say, like whether it's AI, blockchain or anything, it doesn't matter. The fundamentals of any business still remains the same. Identify the problem smartly. Identify if the problem requires AI or not. Just because someone is AI capable, has the understanding of AI, need not force feed it into the solution, right? If the problem can be solved by using some other technology or even without technology, by what I always say, like doing some business model innovation. You don't always have to be a technology innovation, right? Business model innovation solve that. So that is the dangerous lot of the startups, which is today probably I will say is the majority.
Got it.
So out of 100 startups, if I have to say, all the startups are probably 40% of the startups fall into this category, where there is a misfit among the problems and the technology they are imbibing.
Very interesting. Let's say the top 10 percentile of startups that you're incubating, right? That means they have potential, they do have, and that's where when we are getting incubated by you guys, we are getting a lot more access and opportunities to from an investment and funding point of view, because what are the 2 or 3 things that investors are looking at that we as startups are not able to package it?
See, one thing which I always keep telling, all the startups, Kiran, you might have heard me also, that treat me as your sales guy, right? And the reason I say it, not because I say that I am a super good sales guy. The reason is that most of the AI startups, they are all founded by techies. They lack serious selling skills, the storytelling skill, I will say.
True.
Okay, and now from the investor fraternity, the problems that we are facing now, yesterday night also we had a investor meet with one startup. Every day late evening we are having these things. What the major problem is that it is a one time opportunity that many startups get. Not every time you get an
Exactly.
opportunity to present it to the investor, and it takes a lot of effort from our side to generate that opportunity. Now the thing is that you are getting half an hour time and still you're not able to convey your story. Like what is the problem you're solving, what is the solution you're building, what is the roadmap for you in next 6 months. So this is the story and this is what you need to tell in a very well articulated manner. This is, I will say, the major challenge with most of our startups. And I will say I have been an entrepreneur myself for almost like a decade, and it is not a unique problem. Every entrepreneur has that problem. Everybody goes through that cycle. But probably I'm seeing this number is pretty high in AI startups because by design or by whatever reason, most of the AI entrepreneurs are almost 95% or 98% are techies.
Yeah.
So they miss this completely, like the storytelling.
That's my target market.
That's your target market. So you're absolutely bang on.
Yeah.
So that is one challenge that we are seeing. From the investor perspective, if I have to tell you, they definitely always look for a good story, right? Second is that whether it's AI, blockchain, big data, from a money market perspective, it doesn't matter. You have to showcase the profitability. You have to showcase the
The path
potential,
to profit.
right? You have to show that the customer is accepting it. So that fundamentals of 100-year-old philosophy of a basic business remains same.
Same.
So whether you're building AI or something, you need to, it is not necessary that you can show that, okay, in 6 months I will make money. But in next 6 years, if there is a potential, you need to highlight that there's a genuine problem that I'm solving. And again, I'm coming back to that. When the startups are force feeding technology in the problem, they're failing in that stage because they are not able to show that the value and all these things. So this is the second category, and the investors always prefer people who show there is a growth. Like, okay, you have solved this problem, I can give you money to solve this problem, whatever money you need, I can sponsor your compute. But after that, what?
Where are you going to take
After that, are you going to impact this many people? After that, are you have that kind of potential business case or use case? So this is the basic fundamental expectation. Third thing, if I have to tell you, like where there is a growing need, growing interest from the investor side, investors are really excited about deep tech. So there is a, I will say, extremely high level of interest among the investor market. Like they are looking out for good innovations, but they are equally skeptical in terms of good innovations, right? So it is not just that you do any moonshot
the
kind
rappers, not the rappers.
not the rappers kind of stuffs, right? And there are a lot of startups, what we see, who just use chat gpt, right? And they come back with a solution and they showcase like it is a solution. But tomorrow if chat gpt goes away, or some other thing comes, like their solution actually is doomed. So those kind of problems are there. So people need to understand those things, startups need to understand, and that's our job also. We are working on those lines closely with the startups to make them understand that. But on a positive side, there's a growing interest. There's a lot of investors ready to put in money. They are evaluating startups seriously. They are spending a lot of time, and we are hopeful that for good startups, as we say, there should not be any dearth of opportunity and money, funding, and those things. So they should not be worried about that.
Thanks, Rahul. Really helps.
Yeah, coming back to like the final segment, and or as a closing remarks, if I have to ask you, Shailesh, like uh, any suggestion, I will not say one suggestion or two suggestion, but any suggestion for AI focused startups from your experience, you want to suggest that when they are building any startup, like irrespective of the stage they are into, whether they are very early stage, idea stage, or post MVP kind of stage, what are a couple of things they should keep in mind?
Yeah. So first, I'll talk about the attitude of a startup leader, right? What is the right attitude? And the most important thing is we have to be very truthful with ourselves. We should know that we cannot fool anybody with the, you know, PPT. If we don't believe in the idea, we will, and if the idea is, if we know that this is just a shallow startup, but let me try to sell it. Or I know that I'm not solving the most important problem, but this is the easy problem to solve, then let me try to sell it. So first is be very truthful with yourself, right? We are not doing a startup for anybody else. We are doing it for ourselves. And that's how, this is what I learned from Mr. Ambani every day, that you work for yourself. You don't work for Mr. Ambani, you don't work for Modi, you don't work for India. First is you work for your own satisfaction. And if you cannot sleep at night knowing that you did your best and you're doing the right thing based on what you understand today, so be very truthful to yourself. Feel free to pivot, right? And keep exploring, keep learning, keep getting feedback. The more brutal the feedback, the better it is. Don't run away from feedback. Sometimes we run away from feedback and say, let me finish the product, then I'll go for feedback.
The sooner the feedback,
The sooner the feedback, the better it is. Talk to VCs, get beaten up all the time, right? So that's very important. Be out there in the field. And then second thing I learned is, Mr. Ambani talks about the 4 Ps. So he talks about the sense of purpose, why you are doing what you are doing. Very important. Are you solving a real problem? Are you looking for a quick exit? Why you are doing what you are doing, right? So you should be very clear on the purpose. Second is, are you passionate about it, or are you just doing it in a, as a side thing or a moonlighting or a part time, right? Just because I have some money and time, therefore let me try this. Or are you really passionate about it, right? What Dr. Abdul Kalam said, right? Dreams are what keep you awake, not what you get at night, right? So are you really thinking about this 24/7? And, people who create great innovation fall in that category. They continuously think about that problem, right? That's how the Newtons of the world and Archimedes of the world invent. That's how I'm sure OpenAI and Google CEO, they all created great products because they were very passionate about it. Third is perseverance is very important. You may not get it right the first time. How quickly do you give up? And how quickly and how do you rise and try something else or whatever, right? And I'm sure a lot of great startup leaders will tell you the same thing, that they never succeeded the first time, maybe the second time, and then they persevered because they believed in the idea and somebody funded and suddenly this happened, right? And the fourth is preparation. The 4th P is preparation, right? Which is saying, learn a lot about the thing that you are doing, see who else has done this and all that, and, learn about technology enough to be able to confidently pick and choose the right technology for your startup. So, learn about the market, learn about all that before you consciously go into that journey, because it's a very time consuming journey. You are not getting those years back. If you are spending your own money, you may not get it back. It's a very lonely journey, right? Whoever, I have done it for 2 years, I know what it is. So go into it with a very sensible mind. Be very prepared when you go into it, right? So those were some of the thoughts I had. And one thing I learned, Mr. Ambani keeps saying, work backwards from customer, not forward from technology. And this is a very important insight that he keeps saying that in all our meetings. Work backwards from customer, not forward from technology. So today we are working forward from technology. Hey, GPT is there, let's do something. Instead of saying, what is your pain point? So that is very important. And I think our startup guys should look around and see the pain points first, figure out what they attach themselves to, and then work backwards from there. Not the solution. Yes, yeah. Technologies don't build, startups. Customer pain points build startups. So our starting should be there. In the data science world, I say, don't start with data. Start with decisions you have to make. Work backwards from decisions, not forward from data. That's the equivalent of that in the data science world.
Great. I think thank you, Shailesh. Thank you,
Thanks, Shailesh.
Kiran. So thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that it was extremely a good, insightful discussion. We learned a lot both from Kiran, like about what he's doing and what about his thoughts, and also from Shailesh, like about the suggestions he made for the startups, the suggestions he made overall for the fraternity and all for AI enthusiasts. So with that, we come to the end of this discussion, and I suggest all of you to like, share, comment, and please reach out to us if you have any question you want to get it answered from Dr. Shailesh, and we will make sure that we have some answer for you And also, if you want to be part of our podcast, please feel free to write back to us. Thank you. Thanks, Shailesh. Thanks,
Thank you.
Kiran.
Thanks. Really enjoyed it.